Hello, and welcome to Intermittent Fasting for the Win. I'm your host, Mike Saunders, and I'm thrilled to be here with you. My co-host is Jolene Wygand, an experienced faster and fitness coach. So let me ask you, are you ready to take your fasting to the next level and unlock its full potential? Well, you've landed in the right spot. We'll be interviewing fellow fasters from all walks of life, shining a light on their progress, their struggles, and their victories. We'll get their tips and tricks and plenty more. We'll also be covering important topics like exercise and food choices. All of it is designed to help make you a winner with intermittent fasting. We're talking this morning with Leah Gordon, and Leah is a nurse who's worked in several different capacities as a nurse, and she says that if you would have talked to her 5 years ago or even just 1 year ago, her story would be vastly different from what it is right now. And she's on a journey to get to her healthiest self, and I applaud her for that. Leah, it's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, Mike. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, let's talk about your fasting journey. What inspired you to try intermittent fasting in the first place?
Well, I won't go too back deep in the archives, but about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I was doing a lot of traveling. I had visited my children in Florida. I'd gone with my now husband to Jamaica, and the seatbelt on the airplane was starting not to fit. And I just was like, I am not going to ask for a seatbelt extender. I was around 174. I've been overweight, I would say, probably since my late 20s. And, I could see it in the pictures. I could see it with my ability not to be able to move around. It was really hard to walk and do just things like that. I was pre-diabetic. I had chronic hip pain, knee pain.
You say you were pre-diabetic. What was your A1C?
Yep. I think my A1C was 5.7, and they put me on metformin in 2019. I had reached my highest weight ever, which was about 284, and I did a medically supervised weight loss program. So they put me on metformin. I was on some other medications to lose weight, and I lost about 35 pounds with that program. But I was on my way back up after I stopped using the weight management drugs. I remember asking, like, how long am I going to have to be on these drugs? And they're like, for the rest of your life. So I had stopped the weight loss drugs, but I stayed on the metformin. And with the metformin, my A1C had gotten down to like 5. But now, just to fast forward to a quick non-scale victory, my A1C is now 5.5, which is without medication, and with the weight loss that I've achieved, which is in the no longer pre-diabetic range.
Yeah, mine is 5.4. The last 3 weeks ago is 5.4, and that's with no medication. That's just what fasting has done for me.
Yeah, I know it blows my mind, the things that it can do. I did a little reflection. And when I look back at pictures from when I was a kid, now when I look at them, I was a normal sized child. But I remember feeling in my brain when I looked at my friends, I felt I was much bigger than my friends. So there was something just a switch inside my brain that was flipped a different way, I feel like. I had some experiences in when I was a senior in high school that I think kind of amplified that switch. When I was a senior in high school, at the end of my senior year, I was in a play. I had graduation. I had all kinds of, activities. And when I got sick, and when I mean sick, I mean really sick. I had basically a really bad tonsillitis, a peritonsillar abscess. I was in the hospital for 10 days. I probably couldn't eat normally for like 30 days. So that summer before I went to college, I lost about 10 or 15 pounds. I'm not exactly sure how much. So kind of went into college, looking pretty good. And, through college, being a college kid, late night snacks, cafeteria food, gained a little weight back on. I got married for the first time in 1998, and I remember being about 150. And I remember going to the gym and working out with my friends and kind of being on a diet to try to look great, in that wedding dress. I then remember a few years later, my doctor saying to me, okay, you were 150 when you got married, and now I think I had gained like 25 pounds. You can't keep going at this pace, So I kind of got started through, competitions at work. I've done Weight Watchers a few times. I've taken the phentermine and the vitamin B12 shots, the cabbage soup diet. My previous mother-in-law was a big dieter, so whatever she was trying, I was kind of trying for all those years. And really just, it was a yo-yo. I'd lose a few pounds. The most weight I ever lost was joining an organization that it was sort of like AA. You're addicted to flour and sugar. It was really rigid. It was when my children were little, and it was 3 meetings a week. I connected to that spiritual aspect of it. But it was really hard. It was a really severe calorie restriction, and I lost about 35 pounds. And I remember people were like saying to me, "You look ill. What's wrong with you? Do you have do you have a disease?" And I was like, "Don't worry, I'm done. I've stopped." I sort of talked myself out of being addicted to flour and sugar at that time. That was in about 2008. And I've just kind of been yo-yo, not even yo-yo, just kind of, I've heard a lot of people say they just kind of accepted the fact that they were going to be fat, and overweight. And I mean, was morbidly obese. I'm only 5'6", so at 270 something, that's in the morbidly obese range.
Well,
yep.
I remember myself, before I started my journey, I remember thinking, am I going to be one of the ones who ends up on a reality TV show about, huge people? I seriously had thoughts like that, Well, let me ask, let's refine this down. What was it, or where did you see it, or how did you come about finding intermittent fasting?
Right. So when I got back from that last trip I took in March of 2024, I was looking around Facebook, and there was an app on Facebook that came up about fasting, like take your quiz and we'll tell you how long to fast for.
I've
I did it,
I've
and
seen that one before.
I think I started at like I did like 12 and 12 for a couple of days, and then I did 14-10 through a couple of days, and through a comment with that app, someone mentioned gin. And
yes.
I immediately downloaded on Audible, listened to They Don't Deny, and was like, wow. I was just absolutely blown away. I then listened to the Obesity Code, the Diabetic Code, Fast, Feast, Repeat. I started listening to Jen's podcast, and the nurse in me really connected. I was super into science, but I'm also a caregiver, so I just connected immediately with the whole concept of, I had known about insulin previously because of being on metformin, and I had tried to go to this alternative doctor a long time ago who believed in severely low carb, but didn't really say, like, I wasn't in like the whole food game then to even know what to eat. But I knew that my fasting insulin was high. My fasting insulin, I think, was in the 20s.
Oh,
And then I had gotten it down to 15 with metformin. And then since I've been fasting, it's down to 12. So I still have, a long way to go. I've only been doing this a year and I'm down 50 pounds. My
how many? How
triglycerides,
many
50 pounds.
in 1 year?
Yep. Yep. I
That
think
is
I was actually,
amazing.
I think I might have been 48 this morning because I have a new job and I work night shift. So I've been trying like the last month to fast while I do my 2 night shifts because I just think it helps me stay awake. I was relying on some energy drinks and I just know how bad they are for you. So I said, all right, I'm going to try to do this without an energy drink and just do sort of, it's like a mealless Monday because I work from 5 p.m. on Sunday night and I do two 15-hour shifts. So I do 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. and then I go back on 5 p.m. to 8 a.m., which is basically just a mealless Monday, except for I'm awake at the wrong times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that really has kind of kickstarted my weight loss a little bit. Like just it goes down obviously with that longer fast, and then I kind of make up for it a little bit on the other days. But yeah, it's been
Well,
impressive.
well, that you just busted my next question wide open with that.
Oh, I'm so
But that
sorry, Mike.
no, 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 no. I'm going to ask you a modified version of it then. Uh, on the days that you're not doing the longer fasts, what is your window on the days that you're just normal?
Um, it took 9 months in order for me to feel my hunger signals. I don't know what happened, but at 9 months, I could finally feel of when I actually really needed to eat. So now I really try to rely on my hunger signals.
That's
So
good.
I
That's
may
good.
I may break my fast anytime between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. depending on a bunch of things. Not usually what I have going on for the day, more like what I ate the day before. I notice if I have higher sugar and carbs the day before, I tend to want to open my fast earlier. I usually drink a big glass of water and see if I can delay. So I try to delay as long as I can. I kind of now know the signal that okay, it's time to eat. I kind of just know that signal now. So I'm really just trying to be in tune with my body. So I'd say that I'm fasting, anywhere between usually I always get 16. So I would say, anywhere between 16 and even 20, 21 sometimes, just depending on how I feel.
So you're telling me, and this is the truth, because I'll say the same thing, but I want to hear you say it. What we perceive sometimes as a hunger pain is not an emergency.
Absolutely not. I used to get up before and head to work, and I'd get my energy drink on the way to work and have some kind of bar. And by that was at like 7 in the morning, 7:30 at the latest. By 9:30, I was starving and I had to eat. And
Yeah.
then I had to eat again at like 11:30 or 12. And then I
Yeah.
had to eat again at like 2:30 or 3. And then I had to eat another snack while I was making dinner at home. And then I had dinner. And then I ate another snack before I go to the bed. I was eating all day.
And your insulin was just up there
Yep. Up
all the
there.
way. Yeah.
Sure, it sure was. I'm sure. I had that afternoon slump for years and years and years.
Yes. Listen, what about, let's talk about your NSVs, your non-scale victories. Tell
Well, I
me,
mentioned
tell me what's your biggest one?
well, my biggest one is that airplane seatbelt fits. Nice,
Ah,
nice. It's nice. But really more importantly is just being able to get around. Like I still have some residual hip pain, but my knees don't hurt. My hips and back don't hurt like they used to. My skin is glowing. I'm off the metformin. I'm off. I had been on something for, heartburn, reflux for years. I'm off that. I'm off the pill that I took for cholesterol. I had pretty severe postpartum depression about 23 years ago, and I've been on an antidepressant since that time. I've basically decreased that dosage, and my goal with intermittent fasting, not only is to lose some more weight, but also to get off that antidepressant. The non-scale victories are so much fun. They really are.
Yes, they are. I remember the first time, and I've been fasting just a little over a year, but I remember going to my GP, to my doctor, and telling her, all right, you're taking my blood pressure, but I have not taken my medicine in a week. And when she said, really, she said, okay. And she cut my dosage in half. And
Uh-huh.
then I went again, 6 months later, and she took my blood pressure and she said, are you taking that medication? I said, I haven't taken it in a week. She said, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to write you a prescription for the lowest dosage that they make of that. And she said, but don't take it unless you see your blood pressure starting to climb. And I said, you got a deal. And you know what? I hadn't had to take it since then.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think I was fasting about 30 days, and nurses make the worst patients. You know
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
nurses are the worst patients. So I think I sent my doctor a little message for, through like the portal, and I said, I've discovered intermittent fasting. Been fasting for 30 days. I've already lost 10 pounds. I'm stopping my metformin. Let me know if you have a problem with that.
And what
And
did he
then
say?
she said, "Great, keep up the good work."
I
The
like that.
last, the last, I would say 5 years. Every time I go for my annual physical, my doctor would say, "Okay, are you ready to do something about your weight?" And I'd be like, not really. I mean, she's been very gentle with me, with my ups and downs and what I've been trying. I don't think anything else I tried even lasted the full year in order for her to be able to see any results. Any of my other previous attempts, they never lasted long enough for her to see what I looked like in a year. So I had my annual physical in November, and unfortunately, I couldn't see her. I ended up seeing her nurse practitioner or PA. I can't remember. Anyway, she wasn't as supportive with the fasting, but I think my labs spoke for themselves, because my A1C was better off of the metformin. My triglycerides went from over 300 to 126.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
over half. Yes, my triglycerides went down by half. It was absolutely crazy. In fact, I keep a little spreadsheet because, I'm a science nerd. And my triglycerides were 300. They went to 126. I already told you my A1C. My HDL, which is considered the good cholesterol, is up, and you want that number to be up. It went up to 38 from a low of 24. So that's good. And my LDL, my bad cholesterol, has gone down. So all my lab work is heading in the right direction. And I went back through some old labs, and, on the thyroid thing, I hear a lot of people talking about that. My thyroid had been hyper. I had been on a little bit of a higher end, and that's come down too. So it's just the lab results have been, like I said, they speak for themselves.
Well, let me ask you this. Has intermittent fasting changed the foods that you like?
Absolutely. I actually crave vegetables now, like broccoli, Brussels sprouts. It's so funny to hear all the podcast people talk about Brussels sprouts. But yeah, I'm like,
I
okay,
love them.
I need a vegetable. And one thing I did about when was it? It was a few months ago now, but I actually, again, through a Facebook thing, I got a continuous glucose monitor, which you can buy now just over the shelf. And I wore one for 30 days. And that was really eye opening to see how different foods affect your blood sugar and the spikes and the how you eat certain things and your blood sugar stays elevated for a very long time. I just did it as sort of like an educational experience to learn more about my body. And I mean, I feel like that should be, people should be wearing that in their late teens. That would be a great health journey to get people to really understand what their body, how their body reacts to all the crap that we're putting in it. Excuse my French.
Okay. Well, listen, I know you've read or listened to Jen's books. I know you've listened to Dr. Fung's podcasts, and I know you have done your research, you've done your reading. We've attested to that. But with all of that knowledge in your knowledge base about intermittent fasting, what is one unexpected benefit that you didn't see coming?
Well, I don't think I would have been able to deal with the stress that occurred in my year in the last through the last year without intermittent fasting. It gave me courage
Oh my goodness.
to, yep, it gave me courage to be myself and let go of a 20 plus year career in leadership in order to completely change my life and become the things that I want to be. So one of the things you asked me was to do a little introduction. And I think I had said to you, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an avid recycler, I'm a green thumb wannabe, I'm a healer and a caregiver and a nurse. Even a year ago, I would have started off that sentence with, I'm a nurse and I've been in this industry for 25 plus years. I've done this and this and that. That's not who I am. I am really a much more fuller, well-rounded person than just what my career was. So now I'm getting my happiness and my joy outside of my job. I'm learning to grow vegetables from my mom. I'm gardening with her every day. It's given me, I guess the word is the confidence to, and also just kind of the connection that everything I'm meant to be where I'm meant to be. Everything will work out absolutely fine. There will be enough money. There will be health. There will be success. There will be happiness. And we are guaranteed that as humans, if we just can follow the signs. I really am a big believer in not in coincidences, but like everything happens for a reason, right?
Yes.
So I'm really into dates, and the fact that we're doing this podcast on this date has symbolism to me, and I just it's helped me open myself up to the universe. And I really don't think that I would have been able to do that if I wasn't intermittent fasting.
That's amazing.
That's a long, rambling question, but
No,
a
no,
long,
no, no.
rambling answer, but I do really attribute it to the fact that I'm fasting and
I believe
being
that. I believe that.
in tune with my body for the first time in 50 years. That was the other catalyst for change. Was I turned 50 last summer, and I was like, oh my, I do not want to go, be turning 50 and be absolutely so miserable. And
Well,
here we are.
let me ask you my last question to you today. And this is where you get to preach, okay? For someone who's curious and they're listening to this podcast and they've thought about intermittent fasting, but they're scared to try it or they have reservations, tell them about it.
I would say just do it. Even if you go in thinking that it's for weight loss and the scale's not moving, it's not about weight loss. I comment on people's posts all the time that if you are fasting, just even for 16 hours a day and 8 hours of eating window, your body is healing something. Something
Yes.
is happening in your body that you don't know about.
Yes.
And then once you start giving your body time, that 16 hours, everything else just falls into place naturally. You just got to be consistent. That's a big thing. Be consistent with it, and your windows will naturally get longer, your fasting windows and your eating windows shorter. It just happens automatically. And your body will naturally crave better food. And you will also, your mind will open up to the fact that we're constantly being bombarded by toxins. I'm actually listening to Jin's Cleanish right now and finding that super fascinating. So it's just do it, have consistency, and just let your body figure itself out.
Okay.
That's my advice.
I'm going to go back to one statement that you made, and I'm going to introduce that statement by, here you are, you're a nurse. You've been a nurse for many years now. You know the medical field inside and out. And you know these doctors, you know all of the science of it and everything else. And I just want to say that when you said that the doctor told you that you would have to be on that drug for the rest of your life, you can look back at it now and just laugh out loud. It's such a ridiculous statement because you know the truth now. The truth is that intermittent fasting will heal you from the inside out.
It really will. And someone said on a podcast the other day that it's like the Matrix, in that you have I don't ever even watch the movie, but the red pill and the blue pill, and one is the truth, or one you can live in the oblivion that you were in before. And very few people choose to follow the truth.
That's right.
And the truth is, we don't need medication. We don't need ultra processed foods. We don't need half of the stuff that we have in our lives. And we really just need to get back to basics.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, I want you to say goodbye to all of the people, because this has been such a wonderful meeting and podcast, and I'm sure it's going to bless some people. So I'm going to tell them
Thank you so much, Mike, for reaching out to me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's no problem. And like you say, I just had a feeling that today there was going to be somebody who needed to tell their story. And that's why I posted it on the Facebook group. And I'm so glad that we connected. And now I know you even better. And that's a great thing, too.
Yes, it is. It was so nice to talk with you.
You have a wonderful rest of your day. And to everybody out there, we'll see you next time.
If you need more information on fasting and want to join a group of people who embrace this lifestyle, let us recommend that you go to Facebook and search for Intermittent Fasting for the Win, and also search for Clean Fasting Jolene. Either of these groups will help you along the way. We also recommend that you read Jen Stevens' books, Delay, Don't Deny, and Fast, Feast, Repeat. Both of these books will give you valuable information to help you in your intermittent fasting journey.